Today's subject on this Friday, the 18th of April, is China. Something I know quite a bit about. I've been to China. I've got a, I must have been there over 100 times. I've been involved in China since 1993. For those of you who would like to come on over to the Professor Penn podcast and take a look at the 195 episodes, I've spoken quite frequently about the fact that I'm a reformed globalist. I'm one of the few people involved in globalized trade that consensually dialed down the China business before President Trump was elected. When? In 2016. It makes me somewhat of an odd duck. And the reason I dialed it down was because there was trade friction with China that went all the way back in my industry, the tire business, to 2008. Yes, I'm in the tire business. It's part of what we do here at Free People Radio. We are offering all of our viewers and listeners an opportunity to buy car tires at tireget.com. That's TIREGET.com. We have everything that there is needed for your family vehicles, and we mount them and balance them 5 minutes from your house. And I say this to both ask for your support and also to say I've been doing this for a very long time. The tire business is an international business, and 75% of the tires that we use here in the United States for the kind of vehicles in your garage or parked in front of your apartment, 75%, guess what? They're imported. So if you're in the tire business, you have to be aware of the import business. If you're not important, you're not in business. So this has taken me to China starting in 1993, and I was in Korea before that. So this is something that has been part of being in the tire business since the 1980s. Yes, this trade deficit, this offshoring of jobs, started under the Reagan administration. So since I went into the tire business in 1979, Ronald Reagan was elected in 1980, and we were encouraged by our political leaders to go out and spread American exceptionalism to our trading partners. And I was a young man, and off I went. And having been in China many, many, many times, I really know a lot about that culture. I know a lot about that language. I have a lot of friends, associates there. And I learned over time that there was trade friction and that behind everyone's smiles was a hidden agenda. I paired that up with the job losses in the United States and the trade friction here, which again in my industry started in 2008. So in 2015, I had about enough of that. I'm a strong believer in America. I'm a strong believer in maintaining our republic and the freedom of my fellow citizens, of my children, of the American people. And I figured out quite a while ago that one world economy based on the concept of free trade was really about one world governance, and free trade really was never free. Let's listen to a clip and we'll talk about it.
Talking with everybody, the problem is it's only so many hours in the day. I think we're going to make a deal with China. We're going to make a deal with everybody. And if we don't make a deal, we'll just set a target, and we'll live with that, and it'll be fine.
How much time is it?
I would think over the next 3 or 4 weeks, I think maybe the whole thing could be concluded. You have to understand, we're a big, if you think of us as a big, beautiful department store before that business was destroyed by the internet. We're a big, beautiful store, and everybody wants a piece of that store. China wants it, Japan wants it, Mexico, Canada, they live off it, those two. Without us, they wouldn't have a country. And everybody wants a piece.
This is President Trump telling us a truth. The United States of America is the largest economic entity in the world, and it's the largest consumer market in the world. And all of these countries do want a piece of the action, just like buying shelf space in a department store or even in Costco or Walmart. If you're a player, you got to have shelf space where the distribution is going on. So China and the United States right now today here on this Thursday, What's that date, Tanner, today?
April 18th.
It's April 18th. Today, as we're recording this clip, we're at a loggerheads with China. There is no trade right now except for some computerized products like smartphones. The tariff right now, I think President Trump has it set at 245%. I think the Chinese are tariffing U.S. goods at 145%. This is called decoupling. This is about a $500 billion trade, China to the United States, and the United States sells China about $100 billion, a lot of ag products particularly. This is a big business. The United States has a $400 billion trade deficit with China, and President Trump is trying to bring things back into the center of the road, what President Trump calls reciprocal, so that our trade is balanced. President Trump views a trade deficit as a loss. And as a businessman, he doesn't like red ink. He's looking at it in terms of money. Let's listen to how the Chinese people are thinking about this
China
issue.
will fight to the end, as the government has declared, and China has now imposed the retaliatory tariff up to 125% against all U.S. exports to China. Now, if things are not handled well, this means complete stop of China-U.S. trade, both ways. No goods exported from the United States to China, and complete stop of everything made in China to the United States. This is decoupling. If the United States wants to really welcome this, China will reciprocate, and causing the breakup of China-US relations. Whether this will evolve from peace to war, well, let's all be prepared. In essence, what China now declares is that it is prepared to fight to the end. Trade war, tariff war, technology war, or real war. So the ball is in Trump's court. You decide, and I will reciprocate. I will never succumb to the US pressure. And this is the moment of truth. China wants to defend free trade. The United States wants to destroy free trade.
Right.
The rest of the world is watching, and there will be a choice by the end of the day. For China, you cannot hold a gun to China's head and issue ultimatum and demand all the impossibilities, for example, and ask China to swallow that. China is the country that values dignity and decency and honor more than economic gains or economic losses. So if you want to hold a gun at China's head, China will hold a gun at your head. If you want to strike China in the cheek, China will strike you back. That's the decision and the determination of the Chinese nation. This is not belligerency. This is the minimum decency you need to apply to international relations. How can you demand other countries? I will slap you in the face. Don't slap me back. Otherwise, I will punish you more. That's the law of the jungle. The trade war launched by Trump is wrong. It's the wrong war. It's the war against mankind. MAGA, or Make America Great Again, is fine. But you cannot achieve that at the expense of other countries. You cannot achieve your greatness by belittling, by delegating or relegating other countries to the lowest echelon of the hierarchy. Every country has its ambition. Every country wants to be in the first front, first row, for example, and no country should be allowed to trample rules of free trade, to trample international order, and to dictate to others, to issue ultimatum, to hold a gun at your head, to demand submission to my will. This is the law of the jungle, and China will never have a part of that, and China will fight to death to oppose that. China is making sure that the American gets the message. If you want to impose war on China, you get war. If you want to destroy China, you get destroyed. If you want to bomb China out with nuclear weapons, you will be wiped out with nuclear weapons. That's the mutually assured destruction theory, mad theory, that everyone in Pentagon, everyone in Washington, D.C. should fully know about. China is not going to be pushed around, and China will fight to the end, one way or another, peacefully or otherwise. So the choice is in Washington. China wants to be a partner of the United States rather than being a slave of the United States.
Oh, that's a pretty big gap there between President Trump talking about a deal in 3 or 4 weeks and the statement sanctioned by the Chinese government made by Victor Gao. He's a Chinese lawyer, a businessman. He was educated here in the United States at Yale. He is a de facto spokesperson for the Chinese government. So this is a moment of truth in a lot of different ways. What Victor Gao was saying was that the Chinese people are more interested in what's called face than they are in money. Well, that's going to be a very interesting um, moment in history for me because having spent a lot of time with Chinese people, I'm not quite clear which is more important to the Chinese people, their face or their money. And there's President Trump saying, hey, there's a deal. You can see how belligerent and how combative the Chinese are as the rising power. The Chinese believe that we, the people, we, the American, this is what they believe. I'm just going to tell you what they say when you're having a drink and a cigarette at the table. They believe that we're lazy. They believe that we're stupid. And they believe that we're fat. That's what the Chinese people believe about you and me. And if we are going to go into this period of confrontation with China, try to put things back on a more balanced basis, we, the people, are going to have to prepare ourselves for some hardship, to develop some endurance, and to view the country's freedom and the maintenance of the republic in front of the value of our 401ks or what we're paying for a claw hammer at Costco. Thanks very much. This is the Penn News Hour. We'll be back with you soon again.